I get it when you're scrolling through kitchen appliances, the pictures on the site can look like something straight out of a showroom, but the moment you actually fire it up at home the reality can feel disappointing. I've spoken to a handful of friends who bought a new Rangetop and spent weeks battling uneven flames, confusing controls, or a drip pan that never quite fit. That's why I'm doing this deep dive on the THOR Kitchen Pro Style Gas Rangetop, because a mistake here can cost you not just money but weeks of frustration in the kitchen. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, this isn't just any gas cooktop. It's a 36-inch, 6-burner unit that promises the sort of professional vibe you see in cooking shows. The big question, though, is whether that professional vibe translates into everyday cooking for a home chef. Let's break it down, starting with the layout. The front right burner is a single-head 18000 BTU burner, which is great for searing steaks or boiling a pot of pasta quickly. The front middle houses a dual-head burner with a simmer function, so you have the option to run 2 pans side by side at high heat or drop one down to a gentle simmer without juggling separate knobs. If you're the type who runs a busy household, this dual-head setup can be a real time-saver. Imagine you're making a big batch of chili while simultaneously sautéing veggies for a side dish. The simmer feature lets you keep the chili at a low, steady heat while you finish the vegetables on the same burner without blowing out the flame. That's a concrete benefit that's hard to quantify in a spec sheet but shows up in real meals. The control knobs are made from zinc alloy and have a solid, tactile feel. I've tried a few cheap-priced models where the knobs feel like they're about to spin off the stem after a few turns, and that's a nightmare when you're trying to nail a specific temperature. With these THOR knobs, the resistance is just right, tight enough that you don't over-rotate, but smooth enough that you can make precise adjustments quickly. That means less time fighting the hardware and more time focusing on your food. One of the things that often trips people up is the drip pan. The THOR cooktop comes with a black porcelain drip pan that sits under the burners. It's easy to clean, but you'll have to make sure you have the exact cutout dimensions for your installation: 36 inches wide, about 28.4 inches deep, and a 3-inch cutout in the countertop. If your countertop isn't already pre-drilled to those specs, you'll need a professional to cut it, which adds an extra step and cost to your setup. For a DIY enthusiast who loves to measure twice and cut once, that's manageable. For someone who just wants a plug-and-play upgrade, it could be a deal-breaker. Now, safety. The automatic reignition feature is a nice touch. If the flame unintentionally goes out, say, because a pot boils dry, the system will spark back up automatically. In a busy kitchen, that safety net can prevent a potential fire hazard. I've seen reviews where that feature saved people from a pan that was left unattended for a moment. It's not a brand new innovation, but it's a practical inclusion that adds peace of mind, especially for families with kids or pets. Let's talk about performance beyond the flames. The heavy-duty flat cast iron cooking grades are sturdy, they hold up under heavy pots without warping. In practice, that means when you're sliding a cast iron skillet from one burner to another, the grates stay level, which helps maintain an even heat distribution. That's a subtle but real advantage if you often use heavy cookware. On the downside, the unit does have a few trade-offs. First, the 6 burners take up a fair amount of countertop real estate, which is fine for a commercial-style kitchen but can feel cramped in a small apartment. If your cooking style leans toward a few large pans rather than many small ones, you might not need 6 burners at all. Second, the BTU output is high, which means you'll need a proper gas line and possibly a professional installation to ensure the connection can handle those levels of usage. A homeowner who's not comfortable calling a plumber may find the upfront installation cost higher than expected. Another practical concern is the heat distribution across the burners. The single 18000 BTU burner is excellent for high heat searing, but you'll notice that the surrounding burners don't get as hot. If you're used to a single burner that spreads heat across a wide area, you'll need to adjust your cooking technique. Keep the larger pans directly over the high output burner, and use the smaller burners for side dishes. That's a learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, the overall cooking speed is significantly faster than a typical 4-burner model. Who should buy this? If you're an avid home cook who frequently prepares multiple components at once, think batch cooking, holiday meals, or entertaining.